June 21st meeting to order. Everyone please turn off their cell phones or shut them off some sort of way. Our secretary is out of town this week, so we have two secretaries taking her place. Ms. Sue Kingsley is right over here. Ms. Andrea Jones is on that side. So if Ms. Kingsley will please call the roll.
Ex officio Marthouse. Director Tozan.
Here.
Director Ramirez.
Here.
Director Nutting.
Here.
Director James.
Here.
Director Ertel. Here. Director Becker.
Here.
Secretary Rayner. I'm sorry. Treasurer Rayner. Secretary Sislo. Pro Tem Sue Kinsley. Andrea Jones. Vice President Gillen.
Here.
President Noblock.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, would everyone please stand for the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, since Ms. Sislo is not here, we need someone to make a motion to approve the minutes of May 17th.
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second.
Mr. Gillen makes a motion and Ms. Ertel seconds it. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. It's unanimous. Thank you. Next step is to approve or amend the meeting agenda.
Mr. President, I would like to amend the meeting agenda tonight to include a motion under new business for the rules and regulations rewrite under pets and service animals.
Okay. And that would be motion 2021-28. And is there another motion?
Yes, sir, I have one.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to replace approximately 1,500 square feet of asphalt ramp area with concrete at the marina.
Okay, that would be, we would add that one as number 2021-29. So you want to have any discussion about that? All in favor, please raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Okay, we do not have any presentations tonight. We do have a president's report. The May financials are not going to look like anything you've ever seen before, okay? We received a People's Bank settlement of $875,000 in the month of May, and we had a debt of $669,000 for the COVID-19 payroll protection plan that was forgiven during the same month. So the income and the debt relief are one-time events, obviously very good ones for the POA. The Tee to Green magazine, one I'm holding up, it's free in most golf shops in Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, Florida, and so forth. The cover shows the two wood carvings of the Cardinals on the number 10 tee. Both of them are in nice red color. It's really, really well done. One of our local volunteers or presidents, Jerry Jones, actually painted them, and we certainly want to thank him for that. They really look cool. Okay, and this is a very nice thing to get into a lot of golf shops all over the place. So that's another good thing that's going on. Many residents are aware of a lawsuit that was filed by an ex-POA president and some property owners against individual members of the past POA board. The suit alleged that the board members did not perform their fiduciary responsibilities when they allowed outside people to pay and use our facilities. The original lawsuit asked for a return of previously paid dues and some other things. Later, the request or the suit was changed, so the request for back dues was withdrawn from the lawsuit. The suit finally went to trial last week, or about 2 weeks ago now, I guess it is. The judge dismissed the lawsuit and awarded attorney fees of about $16,000 to the attorney who was representing the defendants. Did you know that Diamondhead has the highest number of participants of any facility that I can find in the United States that sponsors the U.S. Kids Golf programs? So that's really a nice thing for our community. You may know that when a property owner does not pay taxes Now, I'm talking about taxes, not POA dues. On a piece of property for 3 years, the Hancock County assessor holds an auction on the parcel of property in an attempt to sell the property. If the property is not sold during that auction period, the property matures to the state, and the state then owns the property. The state does not pay state taxes, local taxes, or property owner fees. Recently, the reason I mention this, recently we had a very interesting situation. A local realtor representing an out-of-state company contacted the POA and asked if there were any back dues owed on 4 parcels of property in Diamondhead. The question was asked because the company was attempting to sell the properties. The POA had no records that the company ever purchased the properties directly from the state. And so that made us wonder if other companies or individuals had bought properties directly from the state and had never let the POA know about the purchase. The only way the POA finds out, because there's no actual mechanism to do it, so the only way the POA finds out that a company or an individual has bought property in Diamondhead, if he bought it from the state, is when the company or the individual contacts the POA and the new owner is then entered into the POA database. The majority of new owners do contact the POA, but obviously all do not. The POA is working with the Hancock County assessor to obtain additional specifics about this situation. It appears that substantial back dues may be owed to the POA, and we will continue to work with the assessor's office to determine additional information, and we will follow up with whatever we find. Okay, committee reports. Mr. Becker?
The Golf Committee met this month. The main discussions were about handicaps for golf tournaments. It had been brought to our attention by several of the members that there was a disparity, especially in the member guest tournament this year. And I think one of the members that played in the tournament put it best when he said it reflected poorly on all of the golf members of Diamondhead, because the people that they brought in from out of town to play on our golf courses and enjoy our facilities felt like they didn't have a fair opportunity. So we learned that that's been addressed by the membership committee, and we thank them for that. We talked about drainage on the golf courses, and of course this was before the recent flooding, but we commented that the courses were draining really well, and primarily a lot of that is because the grass is so thick now that it soaks up some of the rain, and we don't get all the muddy spots and puddles we had before. Of course, when you get 11 inches of rain in one day, nothing can handle that. But we also were pleased to see that Sunday afternoon we were back off the cart path on most of the holes. So the grass is thick, the drainage is doing well. We commended the superintendent for that. He's aerating the greens on the pine. We talked about that, and then he'll wait until those are healed to do the cardinal. We talked about the equipment that was ordered. We're still waiting for one piece of equipment. And we talked about the golf cart lease update. Everybody seems to be pleased with the new golf carts. The first comments we got were they were rather slow because EasyGo had told us to take it easy at first because they're lighter because of the Pentium batteries. So we had them turned all the way down, and we turned them back up slightly so that they would be more playable to our guests. And the comments have all been good after that. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Gillen, anything?
The admin committee didn't meet this month, but they will be working, getting information from Darian, and will be utilizing some of that information to look at the medical insurance for all of our employees. The Marina and Airport Committee didn't meet, but there are several things that are going on. I understand it. Do we find out, Greg, if we got the permit yet for the new docks?
Not received yet.
Not received, but it is in process. It's very close to getting it. It's almost like you feel like you're in a legal situation. The wheels turn very slowly, but believe me, the docks are coming. We will get them. We will get them. The other thing that I found out recently was there has been a permit that, not a permit, I guess, well, maybe a permit, and they're trying to do something with the tower behind the Walmart, the Waffle House. We don't know if they're going to try to rehabilitate it or to add to the height of it. Now, that's of a concern because we have a left-hand pattern in our airport, and raising that tower could create a problem. Stennis notified us about it. We are aware of it. Mike Riso and the city is aware of it, and we're trying to find out more about it. The permit, or the way it was written, was very vague, and so we'll be looking at that very closely.
Thank you. I do have one question. You mentioned about health insurance for employees. We do offer health insurance, so you're looking for a different plan or a better plan?
Yes,
Is that what we're
well, what happened, just to give you everybody will know from the history, last year there was an increase, and rather than pass any of that on to our employees, the POA picked up the increase. So we'll be looking this year to see if we can keep that from happening again, and maybe even get a better deal.
Thank you. Mr. Ramirez, you have anything?
So for the grounds committee meeting, we had 4 of us that were there, and Mr. Greg Abbott came in and gave us an update on several things. One was the entrance at Glen Eagle. There's been some work going on at the entrance, and it's really looking good over there. As a matter of fact, there's still some things that need to be done. He gave us an update on the RV storage area. That's looking really good. There was also in process to go through and see, make sure that everything was up to date as far as the different individuals paying for their spots. And from what I understand, all that went through and everything looked real good there. We appreciated him coming and taking his time to do that for us. He also went over, we had made a list back before Zeta of different things that we thought that, might need some power washing here. It was a pretty good sized list, and we passed that on to him, and he gave us an update on that, and most of those things are done and look really good. The grounds committee, instead of us trying to every month get together and go around and look for things, it kind of doesn't make a lot of sense to do that. So we made the decision to stop at this point having meetings, but we're going to get together in 3 months and go back and look around and see, if there's other things that we can find. We also, Greg was made sure that we all knew that if anybody had any issues that to come to him with them, or I also told the rest of the group that if they had something that they felt like we needed to have a meeting, that I'd be glad to call a meeting. But at this time, we're going to discontinue the grounds committee meetings on a monthly basis.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, go on.
Well, I was going to move on from the grounds committee over to the safety committee, so.
Go for it.
Okay. All right, so the safety committee, there was actually a group that was coming in named Golf Safety, I think it was, that was doing basically an audit on the golf courses and I think a few other things. But so we decided that we're going to hold up and get the report back from that, and when we get that report back, then we'll look into other things that maybe did not address, or we need to know what's being addressed already, because we don't need to double dip and say, okay, so we found this and they found it too. So we're going to wait and get that report back, and when we do, then we'll move forward from there.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Nutting. Anything?
No.
Mr. Tozan?
Yes, the Recreation Committee met. The items we discussed, we talked about the cart path that is between the parking lot and Golf Club Drive that goes along the condos. There's been some discussion 3 or 4 times. At different times, we brought it up. Who owns the cart path and the need for it to be repaired. We invited the grounds committee chair into the meeting. He happened to walk by, and we drug him in. And he made a promise to us that he was going to look into it, track down the ownership, and see what can be done to repair it. We discussed the event lawn. As you remember, in our last meeting, we voted the monies to develop an event lawn north of the pool under the oak trees. After further study, the concern is that it may place too much stress on the oak trees, and we would not have the area that we need. As a result, we've stepped back from that. Greg is in the process of going through some second guessing on what and how we might approach that. And when that recommendation comes up, we'll bring it back to the board to discuss. Pickleball is installed. There is activity. People are enjoying it. We're looking forward to the courts alongside the clubhouse being repaired and updated so we can put them in service as well. We discussed the concerns of renters having to pay to use our pools. We went back over that policy and made the determination we were not ready to alter our recommendations to the board in any way to keep it as it is this year. After the board meeting, or since the board meeting, I've gotten 2 communications dealing with recreation. One, the football fields on Norma. They are being addressed. They are being brought up to speed in preparation for football season, and you should see that soon. The other was a concern for the housekeeping around the baseball fields, and that's being addressed as well. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Attell?
The House Committee met last week. We went over various projects. The furniture that had been ordered for the inside of Latitude 30 should hopefully come in the end of June, if not the beginning of July. The sound panels, the same thing, by the end of June. The kitchen heat table has been installed, and the RTI oil is coming out the beginning of July to do a survey to start installing that whole method. That's going to save us money on the oil that we use, because we use a lot of oil now that the restaurant's a lot busier than it was before. In the House Committee, we also went over excuse me, a whole list of wish items that Chris would like to see, but we're not prepared to go into any of those just yet. We are moving forward with a gentleman who's going to give us some drawings for the kitchen redo, so that we have a complete set of drawings to use to go out to RFP. But that's further down the line. But that the kitchen project still needs to be done. It's a long ways away just yet. I mean, there's too many steps in the process. And the House Committee also discussed the pets and service animal issue that has come up in the Latitude 30 restaurant inside. And under new business, I'm going to be making a motion to not allow pets inside the building at Latitude 30 or the patio. I'll go into more details when I make my motion and open it up for discussion, but that's all I have for the House Committee right now.
Okay, thank you. Mr. James, anything?
No.
Ernie?
Dr. Nutting?
I have a question for the Rec Committee. With regards to the renters using the swimming pool, how do they go about doing that? Are you familiar with how that happens?
The policy is that they are guests, and as guests, they can obtain pool passes either for the year or individual daily passes. And that's the same that we voted on as a board, 6 months ago?
Thank you.
Okay, that finishes the committee reports. The next, general manager's report. Mr. Abity?
Good evening. In reference to the last question raised, Dr. Nutting, the pool pass, if it's a seasonal pass, the fee is being prorated for the renter. In other words, if we're into July, they'll reduce the first 2 months of the season pass. So that's an update on that. In reference to the information packets that I provided to each of you, the important point to note is the financial data that is shown on the summary page does include, as Mr. Knobloch stated in his presentation, the debt relief in reference to the loan that was made available through the PPE program, and also the settlement with People's Bank. The loan forgiveness is reflected as income in the administration department. People's Bank settlement is reported as income in the membership department. And the other point that I'd like to bring to your attention relative to the financial statement summary is income reported for the club's food and beverage sales is reported at retail prices. The POA member discounts of 15% reported as an expense within the membership department. So just for clarity on that point. In your packet also is the language that Ms. Hertel will reference as it relates to modifying, revising, replacing Section E of the rules and regulations. And this pertains to the service animals and pets and whether or not they're permitted in the club or patio food and beverage areas. President Knobloch also referenced the item of state-owned property and property transfers. Ms. Andrea Jones and others on staff have begun to implement an audit procedure whereby these properties owned by the state, if they get transferred to and sold to individuals or to companies, we have a means of tracking that with the help of the assessor's office. And there's a summary of this process within your packet as well. The other item is the standard amenity use, which addresses the rounds of golf played, the tennis matches played, number of swimming pool attendees, activity at the marina and the RV storage. We also have a report of collections that represents year-to-date total in excess of $130,000 through the efforts of collections on accounts that have become past due. And there's also a summary and report as it relates to sales and marketing efforts. So there's lots of information for you to review. Any questions that you might have after you have a chance to digest it, please give us a call. That concludes my report unless there's anything else you need.
Anyone have any questions?
I would like to add something to my report. With the help of Lloyd Ramirez, I was introduced to an expert in the field of insurance who happens to be in the audience this evening. And I'd like to recognize and thank her for her input and assistance in evaluating the method and process that we go through in looking at insurance, and it's Miss Bridget Becker. So thank you, Bridget.
That is a non-paid position. Okay.
Hey, Greg, did you want to mention something about the job fair? I just thought, somebody may
Thank you.
see this.
Thanks very much. Yes. We will be hosting a job fair Thursday, June 24th, between the hours of 10 and 2. And we invite anyone who's listening, and if they aren't listening, tell them about it when you see them if they're looking for employment, because we have opportunities in every department and most every facet of day-to-day operations. Thanks for reminding me.
And
Yes.
those are paying positions, right?
Those are, yes.
Mr. Abbott, just one other thing. I thought this might be a time to bring up one of your many great ideas about the movies that you're thinking of putting together for the kids.
Thanks, Doc. It's one of many ideas that we talk about in various committees. I see the opportunity to draw a sector of the Diamondhead population who are property owners in good standing to come to the club to relax, enjoy an evening where we have outdoor movies And I think that Nancy Perkins, who heads up sales and marketing, has some novel ideas in terms of various functions that will coincide with whether it's a movie night or a day on the golf range with music and festivities taking place, all of which we will begin to formalize, and put into effect probably in the September, October, early fall of this year. So there's exciting things coming. And in the meantime, once again, I'd like to thank all the patrons who come out to the club to show their support, because the revenue has been positive, and we appreciate the opportunity to provide the service and the product.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else have a question? Okay, thank you. We don't have any POA members to speak on an agenda item. Am I correct, Mr. James?
That is correct.
Okay, so we don't have any unfinished business. There's no consent agenda tonight. So we move on to the regular agenda. We have a motion, is 2021-27, a motion to replace the air conditioning units at the community center for not to exceed $15,000. Somebody like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All right, Dr. Nutting makes a motion. Ms. Hertel seconds it. Dr. Nutting, any comments?
No, other than the air conditioner broke and it needs a new one, and you can't live down here without an air conditioner, and that's a very important part of our amenities as a community center.
Thank you, Ms. Hertel.
If anybody went in there on that day to vote, they know how hot it was in the community center and can verify that the air conditioner was broke.
Anyone else?
I'll make some comments. I did ask some detailed questions about the new air conditioner, the condition of the present one, the age, etc. And it is in excess of 20 years old. We are spending money on a yearly basis to maintain it, and it is a 7 or 8 SEER versus modern one is 14 SEER, which would improve efficiency and utility costs.
Anyone else have any comments? All in favor, please raise your hand. It's unanimous. Thank you. The next one is 2021-28, a motion to adopt a revision to the pets and service animals under the rules and regulations. Anyone like to make that motion?
I make the motion.
Ms. Hertel makes the motion. We need a second.
I'll second it.
Mr. Gillen seconds. Ms. Hertel, you're up.
So the change would be to rewrite the pets and service animals. Service animals are defined under Titles 2 and 3 of the American with Disabilities Act and the Mississippi Support Animal Act. We are permitted to extend mandates under these acts. Service animals must remain on a leash while on the premise and must display their identification as a service animal. All other dogs, cats, and pets are not permitted in the club nor any of the club's food and beverage areas, pools, or children's play areas. Pets are not allowed to run free except on the owner's property. Any animals found running at large may be referred to the Diamondhead Police, Hancock County Animal Shelter, or the Diamondhead SPCA. Owners are responsible to clean up after their pets. Employees of the POA are not permitted to bring their pets to work unless granted specific permission from the general manager and only for the purposes of adding value to the benefit of Diamondhead and the POA, as determined by the said general manager. The other attachment that I have given for the meeting minutes is the actual governing rules that apply from the state and the Disabilities Act. I'm not going to read that word for word. Everybody has it in their packet, and it will be included in the meeting minutes.
I forgot who seconded it. Who seconded this?
Jerry.
I did.
Oh, okay, you're up.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to add. I agree with what she's doing. Obviously, the one thing I'm glad we're clarifying is the difference between a service and an emotional pet. The problem with an emotional pet being in our facility is that they aren't trained like a service animal is. We've now seen a real uptick in young families coming into the latitude 30, especially going out and having family meals out on the patio. And if you've got a dog that's not trained and a young child interacts with it, it could lead to some problems that we don't want to have. So, Teresa, I'm glad you're doing this.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any comments? Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, have a unanimous vote for that, so that passes. And then we have motion 2021-29, a motion to replace approximately 1,500 square feet of asphalt in the ramp area with concrete, not to exceed $10,000. Anyone like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Gillen makes a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Hertel seconds. Mr. Gillen?
Okay, this is an area that we knew was probably going to start giving us problems. It's deteriorated a little bit faster than we had hoped. It is the area from when the fishermen or whoever, boaters, come out of the parking where they park and begin to make that U-turn to back down the ramp. With the size of the boats today that are much larger than in the past, most of the trailers now are double axle trailers. And if you watch the interaction as they come around that turn, it doesn't roll like an old single axle trailer. It has a rolling, dragging action, which is deteriorating. Asphalt that has been replaced before, you can tell by the color, it wasn't the original asphalt to start with. So we feel that going to concrete, the two repairs that we already have made have held up extremely well. Of course, they were done this year, but you're not even seeing any type of problems. And we feel this would be an upgrade that'll last for years to come.
Ms. Hertel, anything?
Nothing.
Anyone else? Mr. James?
I would like to make a comment. I'm assuming that this would be done by a reputable contractor. And
Yeah, Adam has several people. He will be going out for bids, so we will be getting bids, written bids.
And
He
I'm
can,
sure-
to speed up the process if need be, under 10,000 and under, you can get a verbal bids, but they must be followed up with written bids.
Just a comment, I'm sure Adam will, but we need to make sure that when they pour this additional ramp area, that they do tie it into the existing new ramp area, so it doesn't separate.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else have a comment? All in favor, please raise your hand. Once again, we have a unanimous vote. That was the last of our regular agenda. Now we have a POA member comment on a non-agenda item. Ms. Womack, I believe it is.
Yes.
While you're walking up, we'll just remind you we have 3 minutes. There's a little timer here. You'll see it turn yellow with 30 seconds, and it turns red when
It won't
time's
take
up.
long.
Okay, thank you.
All right. I just want to bring to the attention of the board, is that me? Okay. That there have been some scheduling issues at the pools.
Okay, can you speak a little closer to that? Is the little green light on?
Yeah,
Okay, just speak into it, please.
okay. I'll start over, don't count yet.
That's fine.
Okay. I just want to bring to the attention of the board that there have been some scheduling issues at the pools, at the country club pool in particular. Every summer for about 15 years, a group of residents who paid dues to use our amenities have been meeting every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 a.m. at the main pool for water aerobics. A non-resident led these sessions as a guest until she was told by Donna Godey that it was no longer allowed. We were all very disappointed because Linda was our guest and did not charge a fee. While disappointed, the group accepted this decision, and since we've participated for so many years, we know the routines and take turns leading the exercises. However, imagine our surprise to read on Facebook that Gail Trahan would begin Wednesday as a hired teacher by the POA, and we would need to pay her $3 per session. Also, non-residents would be welcomed at $6 per session. Like everyone else, we are all on a fixed income and feel that our POA dues cover our use of the pool. We don't want to pay an extra fee and do not need a paid teacher. This does not in any way mean that Donna and Gail are not very able professionals, but we are happy with our current arrangement and do not need anyone to charge an added fee or offer added instruction. We ask that you reconsider the plan and bring someone into our time slot and offer Gail another time slot. Is there any reason that the pool cannot be opened at 7 for Gail and early morning swimmers? And on that note, a group met at the North Rec Pool at 6:30 a.m. for about 20 years, and that was canceled because the pool didn't open until 8 o'clock. We appreciate the POA board, our amenities in Diamondhead, and the work the Recreation Department. But again, we ask that we be able to keep our 8 o'clock a.m. time at the main pool for water aerobics without a fee. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Abity, the general manager, is aware of the situation, so would you please meet with him as soon as the meeting's over with? He's the gentleman right behind you, the one smiling at you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments.
Yes, thank you for your input. Does anyone else have anything?
No.
If not, we need a motion to adjourn. Ms. Hertel?
Oh, no, I want to second the motion. Someone's got to make the
Motion to
motion. I
adjourn.
second.
Okay,
Second.
Mr. Tozan makes the motion, Ms. Hertel seconds it. The next meeting is about a month from now.